Imagine this sound. You're a Japanese sailor. It's pitch black in the Pacific. You think you own the night. Suddenly there's this noise. Not a boom, but like fabric ripping, like 1,000 machine guns just tearing through the dark.
Yeah, absolutely terrifying. And that sound, that was the USS Helena CL-50. They weren't wrong about the sound, and they definitely weren't wrong about the fear.
They called her the machine gun cruiser.
For very good reason. The ship, she takes a hit at Pearl Harbor that should have sunk her, comes back, builds this legendary reputation, and honestly, she fundamentally changed how the U.S. Navy fought and won in the Pacific.
And that's exactly what we're diving into today. The story of this light cruiser. You think of that era, battleships were everything, the kings of the sea.
Right, the dreadnoughts.
But Helena, she proved that speed, this incredible volume of fire, and maybe a bit of game-changing tech, could rewrite the rules. It's a story of survival, maybe revenge too, and just grit.
And it's amazing. This war machine wasn't born out of some massive pre-war budget. She was a product of the Great Depression. A St. Louis-class cruiser.
Laid down at Brooklyn Navy Yard in 1936.
Exactly. Part of the Navy's modernization push then. The people building her, they were crafting something designed to hit way harder than its weight class suggested.
Okay, let's get into the specs. The machine gun part. 15 6-inch guns, 5 triple turrets. That sounds, well, pretty standard for a light cruiser, doesn't it?
On the surface, yeah. But these were the Mark 16 guns. And the key thing, the sources say, each barrel could spit out 8 to 10 rounds per minute.
Wait, per barrel?
Per barrel. So multiply that out. 15 barrels. Potentially, you're looking at 150 shells heading downrange every 60 seconds, just from the main guns.
Yeah, 150 rounds a minute. That's not artillery fire. That's like a wall of steel. How'd they even do that without the guns just melting? Was it purely the crew, or was the tech really advanced?
It was a mix. They had this semi-automatic loading system, a tray system, combined with relentless drilling by the crew. It wasn't fully manual, humping shells and powder bags for every single shot. The engineering was focused on rate of fire. Find a target, overwhelm it instantly.
And she was fast too, right? Over 32 knots.
Yeah, 32.5 knots. Gave her the legs to get in and out or reposition quickly, pretty crucial later on.
Before things got real, the crew actually got a chilling preview, didn't they? In 39 down in Uruguay.
That's right. They stopped in Montevideo and saw the wreck of the Grafspee, the German pocket battleship, just sitting there, rusting in the harbor, a very real reminder of what naval combat meant.
Talk about foreshadowing. And then, December 7th, 1941, a much more brutal lesson.
Yeah, and sheer chance, really. Helena ended up in berth 1010 at Pearl Harbor. That spot was actually meant for the battleship Pennsylvania.
Which means she looked like a bigger target.
Exactly. A Japanese pilot, Lieutenant Commander Murata, mistook her for a battleship. 7:57 a.m., let's fly with a Type 91 torpedo. And get this, the torpedo actually went under the mine layer Oglala moored alongside her.
No way.
And slammed right into Helena, frame 75.
The damage must have been immense.
Oh, catastrophic. Ripped through engine room 1, boiler room 2. 40 men killed instantly, another 100 wounded. By all rights, she should have gone down right there.
But she didn't. This is where the ship's character, or maybe the crew's character, really shows.
Absolutely. That training kicked in within 120 seconds of that massive hit.
2 minutes.
2 minutes. The forward diesel generator, the emergency power, fired up. That's not luck, that's drilled response. No. Damage control sealed compartments, gun crews fought back against the second wave. They took near misses, but they stayed afloat.
And the Japanese reported her sunk.
They did. Big mistake. It was pure determination and damage control that kept her alive.
So she survives Pearl, gets patched up, makes it to Mare Island for a full overhaul. But it wasn't just about repairs, was it? The Navy learned hard lessons that day.
Huge lessons. And Helena became sort of a testbed for upgrades. They ripped out that small, cramped conning tower, put in an open bridge for better visibility and command.
And the guns. Especially the AA guns.
Critical upgrade there. Those old 1.1-inch guns, the Chicago pianos.
Right, because they jammed like crazy.
Constantly. They were basically useless against modern planes. They got replaced with 4 quadruple 40mm Bofors mounts, a massive improvement in defense.
But the real game changer, the thing that defined her later battles, was electronics.
Radar. Specifically, the new SG surface search radar. This let her, as they said, fight blind.
How did that work exactly? SG finds them and something else aims the guns.
Pretty much. The SG radar was for long-range detection, finding the enemy ships, miles out, even 15 plus miles. But the magic was the FC and FD fire control radars. They crunched the numbers range, bearing, speed, deflection automatically in total darkness.
So she becomes this precision weapon, even at night.
Exactly. From a standard light cruiser to something much more dangerous. And the crew, they were driven. Under Captains English and Phillip, they trained relentlessly. They wanted payback. Every drill was about making reactions automatic. They weren't victims anymore.
They were hunters.
Hunters. And they got their chance in the Solomons, late 42, down in the slot near Guadalcanal. Helena was with Task Force 64, Admiral Norman Scott. He got radar.
October 11th, 1942. The moment arrives.
It does. Radioman 3rd Class Robert Brown, glued to that SG scope, picks up Admiral Goto's Japanese force 27,700 yards out. They saw them first, long before the Japanese knew they were there.
Just like the tech promised. And they managed the classic maneuver, crossing the T.
Yep, they pulled it off. Put the U.S. column in the perfect spot to bring all guns to bear on the lead Japanese ships. There was a bit of confusion about opening fire. Scott was hesitant for a moment.
But Helena wasn't.
Not when the order finally came. 23.46. Her guns just erupted. The very first salvo hit the Japanese flagship, the heavy cruiser Ioba, like a hammer. Killed Admiral Goto instantly. Reports say he thought his own ships were firing on him.
Just chaos for the Japanese.
Yeah.
And the sound. This is where the nickname solidifies.
This is it. The rate of fire was incredible. Those muzzle flashes were apparently almost continuous, just lighting up the night. Over 1,400 rounds fired in about 14 minutes. She just smothered the heavy cruiser Fortaka, sank her.
Wow. Not just a skirmish win, this was decisive.
Absolutely. America's first clear-cut surface victory against the IJN at night. It proved that American tech, especially radar, and the firepower of these cruisers could beat the Japanese at their own game. Night fighting doctrine shifted right there.
But the fighting didn't stop. November 42, the naval battle of Guadalcanal. This sounds even nastier.
Oh, it was brutal. The Japanese were trying to ram a major troop convoy through, protected by 2 battleships, He and Kirishima. What followed wasn't really a planned battle, more like a bar fight in the dark. Close range, chaos, ships everywhere. Iron Bottom Sound earned its name that night.
And Helena's radar again, the key advantage.
It was critical. Other ships were struggling, firing at ghosts, sometimes at each other. Helena used her radar to track targets precisely. They even engaged what they thought was He at incredibly close range, like 4,200 yards.
Point blank for naval guns.
Practically knife fighting range. And then this Japanese destroyer, Akatsuki, makes a fatal mistake.
The searchlight.
Yes, switches on its searchlight trying to find a target and illuminates Helena. It basically painted a giant shoot here sign on itself.
Oh, that poor destroyer crew.
Instant annihilation. Every American ship that could see that light opened up. Helena's 6-inch shells poured into it along with everyone else's. Akatsuki just blew apart. Gone.
A brutal lesson. Don't light up the machine gun cruiser.
Definitely not. Helena fired over 1,500 rounds that night. Played a big part in crippling Hawaii, which became the first Japanese battleship sunk in the war. She got through it with only minor damage herself, but her gun barrels were literally shot out. They'd fired so much, so fast.
Incredible. But that kind of constant, high-intensity fighting must take a toll. The Guadalcanal campaign was a meat grinder.
It really was. The next few months were just a relentless grind. Shore bombardments, convoy escort, constant tension. You hear about the 1,000-yard stare of the troops on Guadalcanal. The sailors in the slot had it too. Exhaustion was setting in.
Captain Cecil took over command then.
Yeah, Captain Charles P. Cecil came aboard in December 42. He led them through that period. They got a brief R&R in Sydney, which they desperately needed. But everyone knew you can only beat the odds for so long, and the Japanese had a nasty surprise waiting.
The long lance torpedoes.
The Type 93. An incredible weapon, honestly. Oxygen-fueled, very long range, 20,000 yards, nearly double the U.S. equivalent, and a huge warhead. Plus, they left almost no wake. Very hard to spot, especially at night.
So, July 1943, back to the Solomons, Kula Gulf. The stage is set for the final act.
Pretty much. Task Force 68 is sent to intercept another Japanese reinforcement run, the Tokyo Express. But the conditions were bad. A full moon was predicted, which meant less concealment, and those long lances were out there.
Did Helena's radar pick them up first again?
It did. Typical Helena. Her radar detected Admiral Akiyama's destroyer force, and the reaction was just as swift. 01.57, the guns open up. The second salvo just vaporized the Japanese flagship, the destroyer in Yuzuki. Admiral Akiyama went down with his ship.
Another kill for the machine gun, but then the mistake.
The fatal mistake. They ran out of flashless powder, the stuff they used to minimize the muzzle blast at night.
Yeah.
They had to switch to standard powder, and suddenly every time those 15 guns fired,
They lit themselves up like a Christmas tree.
exactly, brilliant flashes pinpointing their location for every Japanese torpedo officer watching. It didn't take long.
02.03 a.m.
3 long lances hit her, almost simultaneously. The first one hit way up forward, near the bow, massive explosion, possibly a magazine detonation, just sheared the bow clean off.
Devastating.
Then the second and third hit amidships, right around the keel. That was it. They snapped her spine. The ship literally broke in half.
Captain Cecil orders abandon ship.
Immediately. But even then, the crew's spirit, the aft turrets, number 3 and 4, I think, kept firing manually. The crews wouldn't leave their guns until the water physically flooded them out, firing until the very end.
Unbelievable courage.
The ship broke into 3 pieces. The center section sank fast. The bow and stern stayed afloat, for a while at least.
Leaving hundreds of men in the water.
Close to 500 survivors initially, in oil-slicked water, pitch black, knowing the enemy was still around. Then came the brutal sun, the sharks, even Japanese planes strafing them later. A complete nightmare.
But the rescue effort was something else, wasn't it?
One of the most incredible rescue sagas of the war. Took days. Lieutenant Commander Chu organized the men on the floating stern section. And this coast watcher, Reverend Sylvester, played a crucial role guiding destroyers like Nicholas and Radford back into hostile waters.
They went back in, even with the risk.
They did, multiple times. Later, other destroyers joined in. They even rescued a group of 88 sailors who had drifted onto a Japanese-held island, Vella La Vella. It was incredibly dangerous, incredibly heroic.
What was the final count?
Against all odds, about 700 men survived. They lost 168. Still tragic, but considering the ship broke in 3 and sank in minutes under enemy fire, saving that many was remarkable.
A testament to the rescuers and the organization of the survivors.
Absolutely. And Helena's legacy was cemented. 7 battle stars, the first ever Navy unit commendation awarded. Her experiences, both successes and her loss, directly led to faster radar deployment across the fleet and drove home the critical need for things like flashless powder.
And they found her wreck recently, right?
Yeah, Paul Allen's research vessel Petrel found her in 2018, lying in about 2,800 feet of water in Kula Gulf. You can see the hull number 50 clear as day. And the eerie part, her gun turrets are still trained out, still ready.
Wow. Just frozen in that last moment.
It really captures her spirit. Helena was, she was the American war effort in steel, built by workers struggling through the Depression, crewed by young guys who became veterans overnight at Pearl Harbor.
Democracy made steel, as someone put it.
That's a good way to put it. The Japanese feared the machine gun sound, sure. But the real story is the 868 Americans aboard her who refused to be victims, who turned Pearl Harbor into motivation and just wouldn't quit, even when the ship was breaking apart beneath them.
It really hammers home that it's not just the technology, is it? It's the human element, the training, that ability to function almost automatically when everything is going to hell around you.
Exactly. That practiced, unwavering response, firing until the water closed over the guns.
So maybe something for you, our listener, to think about. We all face chaos sometimes, big or small. Where in your life, maybe at work, maybe personally, do you have those systems, that kind of practiced response ready that lets you function automatically and effectively when things get tough? What allows you to keep firing, so to speak, until the job is done?